Konnichiwa, my name is Oninome and I'm an international artist, and I'm asking you to steal people's art styles. Wait, what? So, Saitou Naoki, one of the most well-known Japanese artists on YouTube and official Pokemon artist, came up with this thing called the 3ヶ月上達法, the improving in as fast as possible in 3 months method. I could not think of a better translation, I am so sorry. Not only has this method improved his art drastically, but he went from an artist who specialized in only drawing monsters to a professional freelance character artist. But Naoki Sensei also warns that improving in the way he did will act like a powerful drug with extreme side effects, and depending on how you use it, this method might just fucking break you. So as a masochist, I thought I should challenge myself to improve using this method. So this is where things get controversial. This method is all about copying people's art styles, which, even though I have stopped watching art community drama, I know can be super controversial, especially in the Western art community. But essentially what you do is, first you pick an art style you absolutely adore and are fine with spending the next 3 months drawing in. Then draw a piece of art using all of your energy in said art style. After that, you compare your work to your role model's work. And in step 4, you take one part of the art style that you've struggled with, you do a study to learn how your girl artist draws it, and then go back to step 2 to make another drawing again. And you just rinse and repeat the cycle over and over. So what this does is it repeats the so-called PDCA cycle. P standing for plan, D standing for do, C standing for check, and A standing for act. The PDCA cycle helps people or companies efficiently improve a product, service, or skills by doing whatever it is they want to improve on, and then immediately looking for feedback and responding to that feedback. In our case, what we want to do is art, so we make art, then compare that art to that of the role model. We pick a weakness that we want to conquer, and then we do a study on it, and then make another piece of art. As you might have noticed, that makes the cycle very efficient, but also mentally exhausting. Trying to draw in an art style of an artist who is so far removed from your current skill is already discouraging, but then having to compare that piece of art you made in their style to like the original, like OG, as the kids say, GOAT, is petrifying. It's really, I don't like it. On top of that, after finding your weakness and, studying, being like, whoa, I'm getting better at this, you're gonna have to repeat that cycle over and over again. Like, you're gonna have to make another piece of art and then shit, and then you have to compare it, and then all of that, and it can get super frustrating. That being said, I firmly believe in this method. Again, going from a monster artist to a fully blown character artist in 3 months is insane. But there's also another point that makes this challenge worthwhile. The point of this challenge is to draw while stepping into a pro artist's shoes and notice how they not only draw but also perceive the world. I know this might sound like I'm over-exaggerating, but what I'm doing is I'm hypothesizing that art is a reconstruction of the artist's observation of this world. I know there's so much information shocked at your face. I'm sorry, but we're gonna keep going. Basically, there's 3 components when it comes to making art, that being observation, interpretation, and execution. Let's start with observation. By this, I simply mean how a person observes the world. For instance, just a few years ago, I had pretty bad observation skills. I wasn't actually observing anything, I usually just drew things the way it seemed, instead of what I'm objectively seeing. Let's say I draw a hand. When I used to have bad observation skills, I would have drawn it like this. Not terrible, but not impressive. But now that I've grown as an artist, I would obviously still struggle with it because it's a goddamn hand, but it looks something like this. It looks like an actual hand instead of my interpretation with a bunch of made up stuff of what a hand should look like. People who haven't developed observation skills tend to not objectively see what is in front of them, and this can lead to problems like not being able to notice your own mistakes or the difference between certain art styles. Ever notice how your parents don't seem to understand the concept of different art styles in, let's say, anime, and assume it all looks the same? This is like a typical example of what low observation skills are. Not objectively seeing what is in front of you, but assuming that something should look a certain way and just going along with it. I'd describe having low observation skills like having bad eyesight but not noticing that you have bad eyesight, and of course not wearing any glasses. You just assume everybody sees the world the way you see it and just go along with it, even when the world you see is blurry and not objectively what everybody sees. If anybody feels like they might fit into this, just don't worry about it. In my experience doing studies like copying artwork and trying to get it as close as possible to the original is like super good practice. For instance, this is a study by aforementioned Saitou Naoki Sensei of Saitou Naoki Sensei's work. And I don't see a single goddamn difference. It's fucking insane. So imagine my shock when Naoki Sensei is like, no, this actually isn't good. And then he does like a comparison by laying like the original onto his copy. And yeah, it looks different, but like, like, I can't, like, I wouldn't have gotten it if he hadn't like just slapped like his copy onto the original, and it upsets me. And my god, I am so blind compared to any of the pros that I'm talking about. It's insane. I'm not entirely that good at it myself. Let's struggle together, like seriously. So the best thing we can do is trying to get a less blurrier vision of what's in front of us by either doing studies, like I just said, of artists, or just like still life in front of you. Just take a photo, maybe, I don't know. The next part of drawing is interpretation, which in my opinion makes up the biggest part of an art style. Let's take the hand from earlier. Depending on the art style, hands can look like this, this, or this. And mind you, all of these are drawn by pros. Assuming they all have amazing observation skills, this further supports my idea of interpretation being the most defining part of an art style. What interpretation does to the object being drawn is exaggerating some observations and ignoring some others. For instance, the typical anime art style exaggerates the size of the eyes but ignores the existence of the nostrils. On the other side, drawing without exaggerating, minimizing, or ignoring leads to more realistic art. I mean, technically it's naturalistic, not realistic, but we're just gonna call it realistic. For instance, Yuto Sano, the mangaka of Gokuraku Gai, doesn't exaggerate nor ignore most observations, making their art style realistic. But for male hands, they draw exaggerated finger joints, and the fingers are drawn to be thick and angular. For female hands, they minimize the joints and make the fingers thinner by changing the proportions of the finger width. Naoki Sensei's art simplifies the fingers into these almost like teardrop shapes that get super exaggerated in perspective. The spittoon art style also simplifies the fingers, but they look like they're almost rectangles. And then there's the animal crossing art style, where they just remove almost everything and just make the hands into balls. And it works. This stylized art style of Animal Crossing is perfect for the game. It gives it this cozy and silly atmosphere, and because other parts of the game are also simplified with this art style in mind, it makes it easier to customize anything to your needs. Art styles are very reflective of not only how the artist sees the world around them, but also what types of narratives they want to push. The last part of making art is execution. Or to put it simply, making the art. Being able to actually execute your interpretation of your observation is definitely important. This is where the basics of art come in handy, like drawing boxes or simplifying shapes to draw your sketches. You also get to use techniques of the artist you like to see how it either feels or to just try to figure out why they use it as well. The act of changing the way you draw, not only inside of your imagination, but also physically on paper or your tablet, is definitely an important part of executing art as well. Like, I am bad at this. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I should draw like this, but then I just go back to old habits. So that's what I'm referring to. With all of that behind us, let's take a look at Saitou Naoki Sensei's method and see whether it supports my idea of making art and how it should improve your art as well. Choosing an art style encourages you to search for an art style that you like and makes you figure out why you like that art style in the first place and what purpose it serves. Choosing and copying an art style trains your observation skills to objectively see what is in front of you. It also shows you how your chosen artist interprets the world around them and how they turn that interpretation into art. On top of that, by using the art style to draw, you get to become better at executing on those ideas. When you try to draw like your desired artist, you challenge yourself to draw things that you might not have even tried to draw before. This is also the stage where you experiment with new techniques, brushes, and layer modes. The next step in this process is to compare your art to that of your role model. This is where we train observation skills again, but interestingly enough, the better you get at observing, the worse the stage gets because you see how many mistakes you made and how not similar your art looks like that of your role model. Now that you're sufficiently depressed, it's time to find a subject to study. If you don't have a clear weakness or you didn't particularly struggle with anything, Naoki Sensei suggests either studying the face, hands, or body. The interesting part of the study phase is that Naoki Sensei emphasizes to keep studying until you have this aha moment. A moment in which you figure out how or why an artist does something the way they do it. This stage, to no one's surprise, checks all of the boxes. Training your observation skills, making you figure out how the artist interprets the world around them, and making you execute on your examination. Which means it not only ticks all of the boxes of the process of making art, but does it twice over, and also incorporates learning from another person instead of blindly following your own intuition. This is specifically why I believe in this method as much as I do. Not only because it transformed Naoki Sensei's art career, but also because it supports every single step of making art and improving it. So what does this mean for us? Well, here's what it means for me. I'll be studying the art of Yuto Sano, who is the mangaka of Gokurakugai, and I fucking love their shit. It's so good. And I'm going to post update videos of my journey probably every month, and a summary of how it went at the end of those 3 months. Also, here's a drawing I did of my OCs, and it's one of those drawings that I put so much effort into and that I am pretty proud of, so I'm definitely going to redraw that at the end of the challenge, so stay tuned for that as well. If you want to see how this goes, subscribe to the channel and turn on the bell notification, guys. And I'm asking you to join in this journey on Twitter because I'll be posting all of the drawings I did or will do on there with the hashtag 3ヶ月でSaitou Naokiを倒す. So feel free to join me there. It's definitely going to be a hard challenge, but I'm ready to take it on, and leave a comment if you want to join me. Ume out. So here I am. I'm back. For people that don't know, I used to do like kind of shitty streams on YouTube. Now looking back, I'm like, fuck it. I was having fun. But I kind of quit. I just didn't have the motivation anymore. So yeah, I'm kind of back doing like art stuff now on YouTube apparently. I don't know. And I'll try to be as consistent as possible. Doing like social media is pretty challenging for me personally. I'd like to stay offline as much as possible. But yeah, I'll put in some effort. Fuck yeah, let's go. Also, I forgot to mention this, but obviously I have already started the 3-month challenge. I've done a few drawings. I'll post an update video a month or a month and a half into the challenge, so stay tuned for that. Alright, see ya!